My very first session when I came into office, I filed a bill called the Safety in Private Spaces Act. And it was a bill that was so simple, but it caused a lot of controversy for a lot of people. And it basically just said that men and boys go to the men's room, and women and girls go to the women's room, and same thing for changing facilities. And this is the way it was going to be with all of Florida's institutions and all of Florida's buildings, including cities and counties, because they're under the jurisdiction of the state of Florida. And I said, I will not back down, because this is so important. It's important to our women in high schools and in all of the public schools and also prisons, because we had women being attacked all over the world in bathrooms. We had women being attacked in prisons. Men would wake up one day and just say, I'm a woman, you need to transfer me to the women's prison. And women were getting assaulted, they were getting raped, they were getting pregnant. And so this bill, thank God, this bill passed, and the governor signed it into law. And today we have separate prisons, we have separate facilities and schools, and this is very important in protecting our womanhood.
The parental notification bill, as the representative was telling you, it becomes a hot bill. And you think, well, what's wrong with parental notification? This was on abortion. We did ultimately pass the bill. So your voice is important. One little voice, one little newbie. It's important when you speak from your heart, you speak from experiences. So just my message to everyone, keep doing what you're doing to protect girls, to protect women, to protect our spaces. Keep doing it. It's important. Thank you.
Primary. Keep doing what you're doing. Sorry men, but women do it best. I think we are born to do this. We can manage many things at once. I think motherhood and being wives and it just prepares us because we are natural at this. So groundwork works, grassroots works. Never give up. And I gotta say, you gotta believe in yourself first.
And he said, why did all this mess happen? It happened because we had leaders that were asleep at the wheel in other states. Florida was very protected from that. So he said, jump in. You know, you're a mom, you have young kids in the home. And I will say that I feel some of the most powerful leaders we have in this country, and especially in this state, are ones that have children in the home, and they go home after fighting a day, and they look their kids in the eye and think, this is why I have to be out there tomorrow. And that's why I'm doing it. That's my story. I refuse to be responsible for handing down a generation that has less opportunities for my children, my daughter who's here, than I was given from my family. So we are in this fight here in Orange County. You know, we're in a historic time where it takes people to stand up and not be afraid. No matter your age, no matter your background, wherever you come from, whether you are a stay-at-home mom, a homeschool mom, a college student, someone who's starting in your career, everyone can make a difference.
And she wrote about how she's a single mother of 2 boys, and that it doesn't matter as a woman whether or not you've had a child or not yet, that that's not a prerequisite to running for office or being a leader. And we have a lot of young people in South Dakota right now, women and men alike, that are struggling to buy their first home, that are struggling to, wonder if they should even raise kids in the climate that we're having right now, because they can't even afford to feed themselves, let alone to feed a young family. And so that's what I brought to the table, and I looked at, my district, 65 and up. I think there's 60% of the people are 65 and up. And so to look at people that could be my grandparents in their eyes and say, please let me represent you, was difficult. But if I said to them, hey, I'm your granddaughter, or I'm your niece, or I'm your daughter, and I'm the future, and to give me a chance to represent you, because I'm going to be around for a heck of a lot longer than you are under these laws. When you have a young person come knock on your door one day who's running for office, don't discredit them, because like I said, they're going to be around for a lot longer, and the future is very important to them just as much as you. So.
I want to start out, she originally talked about how being a gentleman matters, and I grew up in a really small town not far from here. My grandfather used to tell me that you're a boy by birth, you're a man by age, but you're a gentleman by choice. And so it was bringing up and being fostered into those old ways of living that I think that we're trying to preserve, we're trying to protect for future generations, for our children. You know, you hear Aaron Huntley, who's absolutely incredible for Orange County REC, talk about your why. You know, I have a 9-year-old son, and when I think about what keeps me motivated when there's times that you want to step out, what keeps you in the fight whenever you're constantly being attacked by both the left and the right for doing what is truly constitutional. That's my why. And I think it's the same that I look at every one of your children, I look at our grandchildren, I think about what can we do to preserve that. You know, leadership is one of the key fundamental things when it comes to how we stabilize a republic and how we continue to try and find stability across the world. And what we're seeing today is that there's a complete failure and a crisis in leadership. You know, people are born with a public servant heart. People are understanding that you must lead by example. Everyone understands what roles we play. But in today's society, we're trying to destroy those roles. We're trying to some way find that if I just claim that I identify as, that changes what actually is. But what we're really trying to achieve here is simple. You know, Title IX was something that was put in 1972 when it passed. And it was really about protecting opportunities for young women and girls, whether it be in sports or in other areas, to prevent against discrimination. But now what we're seeing is that our women's sports have become a plan B for failed male athletes. Kind of like how running for office is the plan B for failed male, entrepreneurs. I joke all the time about, what it is to have pros and cons, and pro being progress to move forward and con being Congress, which is what we hear every day. But the reality is that we really do suffer from this crisis of leadership. And when you see things like the Leadership Institute that goes around and teaches seminars and holds these conferences and does door knocking and does all the things that are necessary, this is where I come back to something that I call courage is contagious. And I want to give a quick story, if I may. We're the only member of Congress who's conducted many rescues and evacuations across the world. Whether it was the first successful overland rescue out of Afghanistan of a mother and her 3 children from Amarillo, Texas in 2021, or whether it was the 255 that we had rescued out of Israel, the 23 that we had rescued recently, and 24 out of Haiti, or the 59 disabled, mental and physical disabled children out of Haiti that we had to relocate with the help of Tim Tebow, another great American, into Jamaica. There's things that you have to do in order to try and set yourself apart. But the reason you're setting yourself apart is because you're trying to set an example. And you're trying to actually get people to understand that it only takes one brave man, one brave woman to make that first step in order to make change. But it's important for us to start understanding that we have to fight for what is right. We have to be able to understand that it is our job to protect the biologic and the cultural role that both men and women play. And I think that it's okay to understand that all of us have to take a part in that we can't be the silent majority any longer because we see what's happening in our society. This truly is a good versus evil. I will tell you, this is a non-political event, and it truly is, and I'll tell you why I say that. Because none of the things that we're discussing are a Republican or Democrat issue. It's an American issue. It's a right versus wrong issue.
What a time to be a woman on this earth right now.
Amen.
I am grateful to be here. I am grateful to be able to stand at a time when it's so clear, when it's hard, but so important and so clear. Can you believe we're at a time where we don't know what a woman is? What an honor to know what a woman is and to be called to live at this time, to stand and speak. I love his story of the courage being contagious. Monster Liberty was started with $500 and a box of t-shirts and just an idea to stand for what was right. That was 3.5 years ago. And women all across this country, I think I saw Monster America here represented too, women all across this country said enough in 2020. So be proud, be just so honored to be alive today, to be a woman, to be standing in this room and in the conference room tomorrow at a time where we can come together and join together and stand for what is true and what is right
and what is good, and for American principles, and for our country, but most of all for our children.